You're such an asshole.
Hi, Aaron, I have an interesting question for you. We all know about the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin, and Darren Wilson, Michael Brown shooting situations. Most people ask the question, what if Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown were white? Would there have been a different result? And many people thought that George Zimmerman and Darren Wilson were found not guilty because of white privilege, even though Zimmerman was only half white. Yeah, that was where they photoshopped him to look whiter. And then, what was it? It was like CNN or NBC, one of these fucking Walter Cronkite, oh, we're just really good, Joe. We have to trust this. We're the fourth branch of government. And then they were found, like, chopping up the 911 call to make Zimmerman sound like a complete racist. I have a different question. What if George Zimmerman and Darren Wilson would have been black security officers? Security officers or cops? Because Zimmerman he was like a night watchman or something for his HOA. And then... what was it? Was Darren Wilson? Darren Wilson was the cop. Darren Wilson was the cop. Michael Brown, that was down in Ferguson. There's getting to be so many of them, I start to forget it. What is it? I think all the rage and civil unrest we saw from these cases would have never happened because the media would not have picked up on these stories. I think that we would never have heard the names Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown. I also think that Darren Wilson and George Zimmerman were much more likely to be found guilty because they were white males. Well, they weren't found. I think both of them were found not guilty. I think that's the main complaint within the Black Lives Matters group, and to a somewhat slightly lesser extent the black community, is that blacks are getting shot by cops or security guards, and then they're found not guilty. That's I think why there's the riot, and let's shut down the highway. We had, for instance, out here, we had two. Amar was his name, but then Philando Castile got shot. Now the new one is the Somali officer that shot the white little touchy-feely, goody-two-shoes Australian white girl. It's fun. Must wait for they were white males. So no, I disagree. I don't think they weren't. They weren't found guilty because they were white males. They would not be. The proof just proved you wrong. They were found not guilty. But I don't think it actually has. You'll find my opinion about these juries later. If George Zimmerman and Darren Wilson were black or even female security officers, I don't think the NAACP and media would have gotten involved to help get a guilty verdict. But they weren't found guilty. Your thoughts? All right. I'm going to use Philando Castile to kind of explain what I think is happening here. Philando Castile is, or was, unfortunately, a black guy that got shot over in one of the suburbs in St. Paul. The guy that shot him was a cop of Latino or Hispanic descent. He wasn't white. I think he also was acquitted and wasn't charged. And the reason I bring up that particular instance is because I don't really believe race is the full determining variable here with these shootings, and the main complaint that Black Lives Matter and the black community in general have with black people getting shot. The main problem is black people getting shot unjustifiably by cops regardless. Doesn't matter who shot Philando. Philando's dead. All right, and from what I would argue is the Black Lives Matter or the black community's viewpoint is that these guys were innocent and should not have gotten shot. All right. So that is, I think, at the base. Let's just start with that. I don't think they ultimately really care who's doing the shooting. I think it's that the people are getting shot and killed, and they want some kind of justice. Now, when you introduce the race of the cops, that does play a role, but I think only maybe adds fuel to a fire that's already existing. Again, people don't want people getting shot by cops, period, regardless of the race. But the media, and you know this, and the NAACP, you absolutely know that there is huge political incentive to bring race into this because these people are frankly racist. They don't like white people, and when you see a white person being a cop shoot a black person, whether justified or not, they can't, and I wish racism was a thing. In the media's case, sure, they might have an ideological hatred for whites. They might actually be leftist and all that. They just want the ratings. They salivate over it. It's not even yellow journalism. It's brown journalism. That's what sells. White cop in Wyoming shoots white meth head in Casper, Wyoming. That's not gonna get clicks. That's not clickbait. Hey, white officer in Milwaukee shoots black guy. Half shooting filmed on camera. Guy was saying, "Don't, hands up" or whatever. Oh my gosh, that is good. And then you just throw on all the racist accusations and suggestions and implementations, and now that makes national headline news. So unfortunately, the media has absolutely no incentive for the truth. The media only has an incentive to sell, to get headlines. That's really what it is. I mean, watch His Girl Friday. I mean, this shit goes way back then where these guys were, I mean, it's a fictional movie. But what was it? There was a murderer, or he's accused of murder, and then his girlfriend, and they were all like besmirching his name because the titles would just sell. They're just skis. But no one ever really looks behind the scene to really care about it. So let me get I have a different. What if George Zimmerman and Darren Wilson would have been black officers that shot Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown? If Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown were black, because you're saying if George Zimmerman and Darren Wilson would have been black, but just shot Trayvon and Michael, I think there would still be not necessarily quite the uproar, but there would be a complaint. There'd be a justice for Trayvon or justice for Michael Brown, but it would not have the furor and uproar because the media wouldn't want it because it doesn't fit their narrative. The NAACP might go after it. Black Lives Matter certainly would probably go after it, but with nowhere near the zeal or vigor, and the media would certainly not cover it. They just wouldn't, because again, it's not sexy, and it has to be a component of racism or sex. It has to be some kind of ism. Can't just be Bobbin and Fridley shoots Mike, and they both happen to be Latino. I don't think it would really get quite the thing. I think all that would never happen. I think all the rage and civil unrest we saw from these cases would have never happened because the media would not have picked up on these stories. Yeah, there'd be a lot less of it. I will go with that. Not because whether they were in part because if they had been black, yes. I still think there'd be some people upset. I think some of the diehard people from Black Lives Matter would want an investigation, which I'm not necessarily against. I mean, you don't want cops flying off the handle. But absolutely, there'd be nowhere near the media, there'd be nowhere near the social media, the forwarding, because it doesn't have that racism. It doesn't have that sexiness. Not that racism is sexy, but it sells clicks. That's what it does. So you are right, but the where was it? Oh, and many people thought that George Zimmerman and Darren were found not guilty because of white privilege. No, and then getting back to that, I actually have faith in our jury system. You can watch my video on this before, but it's sad, but I always kind of laugh, like when somebody gets shot and, oh my God, did you know this? Oh my God, did you know that? Like, yeah, actually, I don't know that. You don't know that either. Everyone's just spreading rumors around and they're speculating. They're going to go to their side. They're going to go to their side. Oh my God, he had a rap sheet. Oh my God, did you see that? You know who knows more than all you fuckers? It's the judge and the jury that were sitting there, the 12 people and the judge, who are listening and considering all the evidence from both parties. Those are the people. Those are the ones that know way more than any of us do. And so unless you're going to sit there and watch and read through the stenographer's report and read through the whole case, you are nowhere near as informed as those 12 people and that judge. And so that's why I have a little bit more faith in the trials than I do what I hear on fucking Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or Instacount. And it's just, and I won't lie to you. It's in part because I too am too lazy to go read the stenographer report. I just, and then what are you going to do about it? That's the other kind of thing. All right, that's it. You guys got questions? The old captain's got answers. AssholeConsulting.com. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.